From shocking the entire fight world by defending the Irishman, to the notorious possibly obtaining an exemption from USADA, here's everything Michael Chandler had to say about Conor McGregor's steroid usage allegations. For starters, Michael thinks he passed the smell test. Like the rest of the fight world, Iron Chandler was blown when he first saw Conor's crazy transformation. The Irishman packed on an insane amount of muscle during his time away from the fight game, and while some top-level MMA personalities think the Notorious has been juicing, Chandler doesn't think so. He thinks the Mystic Mac has passed the smell test, and the reasoning is simple. See, when Conor first snapped his leg in the trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier, he was forced to sit on the sidelines for more than a year. According to Michael, since there's no way he can train his lower body, all McGregor did was lift and eat, and when someone does that for an entire year, they're obviously going to get bigger. I mean, it's not rocket science or anything, but yeah. When the former Bellator champion first saw Conor on the set of The Ultimate Fighter, he was initially surprised by his transformation and later said the Irishman passed the smell test. Plus, I think it shows just how classy and respectful Chandler is as a fighter. Despite the Notorious being a potential opponent, he didn't throw any shade and kept things super simple. Until and unless he sees a fighter sticking a needle in their body, he's never going to accuse them of taking steroids. It's just his code. And if you ask me, I think he deserves a lot of credit for defending fighters who are accused of juicing. Also, in case you're wondering just why Conor put on so much muscle, Chandler has an answer for that too. It's because the former dual weight champion has no interest in fighting at lightweight. This isn't exactly the first time McGregor has hit this weight class. He's been a welterweight before, and sure, he might be a few pounds over the limit, but let's not forget how he's always talked about claiming another title. So, yeah, maybe the whole reason why he put on so much muscle was because he wanted to compete at welterweight. And while talking about the juicing allegations, Michael confirmed the fact that the Irishman has no interest fighting in the featherweight or lightweight division now. He's already dominated those. And since he absolutely loves throwing himself in shaky waters, he's been eyeing the welterweight division for quite some time now. Plus, at the end of the day, the former Bellator lightweight champion knows fans will only believe what they want to believe. Even if he said Conor was on steroids, fight fans who think he's juicing will agree with him, and those who disagree won't even care about what he's saying. Or in other words, it doesn't really matter what anyone says, to be honest. Fans will only believe what they want to believe. And for as long as Conor continues to hint at a comeback to the promotion, there will always be a percentage of them who will think he's juicing, regardless of what guys like Michael Chandler, Chael Sonnen, or Daniel Cormier think. Believe it or not, Sonnen actually claims the Notorious is enjoying these allegations since it keeps him in the spotlight. Well, that's something you'd expect from the former double champion. Besides, things don't add up at all, because when it comes to Conor's relationship with USADA, it couldn't be any cleaner. Allow me to make this very simple. The Irishman has never failed a single drug test during his entire career. And do you want to know the shocking bit about all this? He's been tested over 70 times. 70 times. And not even once has he tested positive for an illegal substance. I don't know about you, but I think that speaks volumes about his dedication and commitment to the sport. However, after the allegations started to gain traction, his relationship with USADA did sort of take a hit, mainly because he thought the doping agency was trying to sabotage his comeback. And usually, when someone points their guns at Conor, he never holds back and has a habit of hitting back as hard as he can. When USADA got a bit too vocal about the Irishman's situation, he destroyed the agency by reminding them they are not the be-all and end-all in the fight game. And remember how I was just telling you about his testing record? Well, he also directed a tweet at the organization by reminding them how he's a double-weight champion who's never failed a drug test ever. But what did USADA even say that made McGregor so hostile? Honestly, the organization's representatives didn't really say a lot, but the way they said it was a bit shady. It felt like they were pushing the idea that Conor might just be juicing. And look, I'm siding with Chandler until I don't see a needle. I'm not accusing anyone, so maybe USADA needs to cool down a bit before talking in that sort of manner. But how did these allegations actually kick off? In case you don't know, it has everything to do with Ariel Helwani. After breaking his leg, Conor disappeared. Apart from the occasional tweet, there was nothing about him. No video, no picture, and no interview, nothing. It was complete darkness. And then when he finally revealed his final form to the internet, it almost caused a meltdown. Fans, fighters, analysts, all of them were blown away by his crazy physique. I mean, he looked more like a bodybuilder and less like a professional fighter. And while everyone was talking about how he packed on so much muscle, Helwani was breaking things down and trying to answer the bigger question: just how did Conor pack so much muscle without being tested even once? Or why didn't USADA go banging on his door after seeing how buffed he got? Well, Ariel does have a habit of getting to the bottom of things, and after some digging around, he revealed how the Irishman wasn't even part of the testing pool, or in other words, USADA had no authority to test him since he wasn't an active fighter. Also, what's funny is it was actually Ariel who forced the doping agency and UFC president Dana White to issue an official statement. But yeah, that's when the allegations officially kicked off. And before you think Helwani was the one who started them, let me just get one thing straight here. He didn't exactly accuse the Irishman of anything. He was just wondering why the authorities haven't looked into it yet. But enough of how or when it happened. When will Conor be fight ready? Well, as per the official rules, an athlete needs to be in the testing pool for at least 6 months before competing. And considering how Conor hasn't even entered the testing pool yet, I have no clue what's going on right now. Because it's being rumored that he'll be fighting the exciting Michael Chandler by the end of this year. But because of we're already halfway through 2023, is that even possible now? Look at it this way. Even if McGregor re-entered the testing pool this month, he'd be cleared to fight at the very end of 2023. So yeah, at this particular point, fight fans just want the drama to end. And while I'm super thankful to Chandler for putting out the fire, it's about time Conor re-entered the pool, or at least said something about when we'll see him fight again. Because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearing the same thing over and over again. USADA this, McGregor that, PEDs, all that stuff. It needs to stop. And on top of all this, there's even that exemption everyone's been talking about. Well, it might just be the one Uncle Dana and Conor are so eagerly after. I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it. But if a fighter was to get an exemption from the doping agency, it pretty much means they no longer need to be tested. Or look at it this way. If USADA hands the Irishman an exemption, he's literally fight ready. He might still need to get tested, but there's nothing about staying in the testing pool for 6 months. Also, I don't want to stir controversies, but let's not forget, McGregor is the UFC star child, and because he's so useful to Uncle Dana, I bet there's a lot of lobbying going around about the Notorious getting that exemption. But yeah, coming back to the main point, I don't think Conor took steroids. He's literally the biggest name in MMA, and since he's so cautious about his brand, he'd do everything to avoid another John Jones situation, because the moment it shows up on the test, all his past performances, his dominance inside the cage, gets questioned. So yeah, I think Chandler is right. McGregor didn't take steroids, but he didn't shut the allegations down either because they kept him relevant. Anyway, from talks of getting an exemption to Chandler putting an end to Conor's steroid usage, that's everything Iron thinks about the situation.